problem. So, good morning, everybody. I'm Frédéric Perland from the French Ministry of Higher Education and Research, and I will present you globally the Horizon Europe program, which is the 9th framework program from Europe dedicated to research and innovation. Especially on its aspects related to civil security and society, and even more specifically on how artificial intelligence can be taken into account in this program, and people that are dealing with this discipline or science, because I think now it is considered as being a science, artificial intelligence, can promote their activities into this program and get funding from this big research and innovation program. So Horizon Europe is a large European project, a program lasting 7 years, and as it was set, European institutions ask each country to set up some kind of structure, organization to support this program at the national level. And this was created a few years ago, and especially renewed this last year for this new program at the Ministry of Research and Higher Education. So that's why I am here part of what we call the national contact point. So each country in Europe has national contact points to support this program, but we have also a person which is not here, but that you can also contact, a program committee representative, which is trying to anticipate and which work a little bit in advance on the future of the content of the program. So here I am, Frédéric Perland, as a member of the National Contact Point. And this is about this big program that some of you may know, which is the European Framework Program for Research and Innovation, almost 100 billion euro over 7 years. So this is the big program of Europe. I think it is the biggest in the world, by the way. Dedicated to research and innovation to try to reinforce the scientific and technological base of the Union. As you will see, it is structured along what we could call the technology readiness level, the TRL. So upfront, upstream research down to commercial activities. And it has been structured along these lines through 3 main pillars. One pillar which is about science excellence, which is a low TRL and which is mostly focused on I would say, upstream research and fundamental research also, but also research infrastructure. A second pillar, which is the one we are going to talk about and focus on, which is dedicated to the global challenge and European industrial competitiveness. So this is where you will see that most of the money is dedicated to building collaborative projects between different actors, economic actors, to develop new innovation. And the last pillar that has been renewed in this Horizon Europe, in this last big program, is more dedicated to innovation, and with a focus, especially with the European Innovation Council, with a focus on SMEs, supporting disruptive innovation from SMEs, and with a unique mechanism that was not in place before, which is not only to support the research and the development through grants, so you are funded to develop your research, but also the European Innovation Council is taking equity in some of the company to help them to develop themselves and to scale up. And there is a last, not a pillar, but it's a kind of basis that is dedicated to how you can make sure that all this content, because it is about content, the 3 pillars, all this content in research and innovation can be better developed and enhance the excellence at the European level. So this program, as I said, we are going to focus on cluster 2, which is basically a structure along thematics. So it's a top-down approach to sustain the strategic political priorities of European Union. And especially it was structured, but I will say a few words about that, along the Sustainable Development Objectives, the 17 Sustainable Development Objectives from United Nations. So that was the general framework, and from this approach, a top-down structure or a list of thematics has been identified, and for, as you see, all these thematics are called in European language, because you have to learn it, clusters. And these clusters, be it health, culture, creativity, and inclusive society, civil security for society, this is the one we are going to talk about, are centered on societal problematics and global challenges. The way it is structured is along impacts. So basically, to develop and to structure the program, key strategic impacts were and key strategic orientation were defined, and expected impact were defined. So that basically the whole program is structured around expected impact. What is key, and that's why we are here, it's this program are collaborative, are basically asking to different partners to collaborate and to build what we call collaborative projects. In the program itself, it's called actions. So these actions have to be taken by a group and consortia composed of different partners, generally transdisciplinary. They may be transsectoral and transnational. This is a requirement, you will see. This project, which are collaborative project, lasts on average 3 years. I would say some are smaller and they last only 2 years or even less, but generally it's around 3 to 4 years. The size of this project in terms of funding, you get funded by the Commission around between 4 or 5 millions. It can go up to 10, 15 millions for some of the projects which are bigger. It has been structured along different, as I mentioned before, different category of TRL expected for this. Some are more research, so research and innovation action, the RIA. Some are more innovation directly, so closer to the commercial development, innovation action. And there is a third category of project called the CSA, which are basically action to support the activities, but not directly to develop systems or to propose research. So to participate in this program, so this cluster, whatever the cluster, and to propose a collaborative project, you have some eligibility criteria. So basically, you cannot be selected if you don't fulfill some of these criteria, especially as it is a European program. The fact that 3 independent legal entities and in 3 member states or associated to Horizon Europe, I will come to it, are part of this consortium. So it is a multinational consortium. What we call the associated countries are the countries that are discussing now contract with the European Union to be part of this program. So on the right, you see, beside the 27 member states, of course, this associated nation, you have quite a few. United Kingdom is part of it now. Be careful because Switzerland is not part of it. The negotiation didn't go through yet. Maybe later on it will, but for now it doesn't. And associated also to this program, it was and it is precised in the different call according to the topic. It is open to third nation, not associated nation only, but eventually small or medium income nations that will benefit from this program and could contribute with partners coming from these countries, can be eligible for funding. And on specific project, you have a specific mention of the fact that on this topic, it will be good to have this and this country, which is not neither member states nor an associated nation nor a small and medium income. So it is quite open program to fund research and innovation. So once you are eligible, so you can submit because you have the right consortium. Now you need to win because it is a contest, it is a competition. And as you can guess, quite a few consortia are proposing topics on or project ideas on different topics. So there are three main criteria for your evaluation. Of course, as it is a research and innovation program, the excellence and especially the scientific excellence is a must. You have to demonstrate that we are at least at the state of the art, so that the Commission is funding good consortia and not the one that are trying to catch up. So this is the first point, which is important. So the second, which get more and more value, I would say, because and it is something that was in the past identified and was part of the criteria, but was not necessarily the key criteria, and it had some drawback in the future, I would say. It's about the impact. So as I said, as the program itself, Horizon Europe, has been structured around key impacts, and I will show them just afterwards. It is very important to demonstrate in your proposal that your project is going to have a big impact on different aspects of the economic, scientific, and societal aspect. Third criteria, the quality efficiency of the implementation. So of course, if you are very good, if your project has a big impact, but the way you organize yourself is not good, Commission will not fund your project because you have little chance to succeed. So the quality of the implementation, which means the complementarity of the consortium, the fact that you have different partners from different countries, but also with different competencies that are complementary and are well structured in the way you organize your Gantt or your project. It's about project management, but it's more about the complementarity of your partnership is very important too. What is important is to know is that this program, you have calls, what we call calls, every year. So you have one call per year, and the timeline, to give you an idea, once you have deposited your project with a deadline, you have between 5 months to be selected, evaluated, and eventually selected. And then there is a negotiation of your contract. So basically, between 8 to 9 months, there is nine months between the moment you submit and the moment you can start your project, winning project. One element I mentioned here, but it's for specialists. They try to make it as lean and as simple as possible to propose a project. So now you have only 45 pages to deliver with a lot of tables and so on. So this is something that is difficult because you have to be very precise in what you are building, but it's well prepared and you have guidelines from Europe that are very, very comprehensive. So I come back to the key impact pathway. I will try to... Okay. So okay.
Eurosatory live demonstration space. Permanent animation from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m.
So I come back to this key impact, and there is what is called a key impact pathway. As you see, there are 3 categories of impact that are expected from the program, and that you have to illustrate in your proposal. One about scientific impact, one about societal impact, and the last, economic impact. I want just to stress that the societal impact, especially for security topics, is key. And you'll see that there are specific sessions about sensitivity and confidentiality, privacy, but also ethical aspects, which is very important in such project. So to go a little bit fast, now I told you about the different type of collaborative project. You see the link with the TRL. Basically, the first one, research. So you end up with a kind of prototype, but only at a small scale, and eventually demonstrating capabilities, technical capabilities of subsystem or local. Innovation action, you go up to demonstration. So this can be heavy, but also very beneficial. Because one thing I forgot to mention is that when I say collaborative project, you collaborate with different category of partners. There could be a research institution, so lab. There can be, and there should be SMEs, small companies, big groups, and larger industry to help you to structure and to build systems or integrate capabilities, but also end users, which are very important, that are part of the consortium. So together you build demonstration, exercise at the end of the project, and this is very valuable, and sometimes it is the best way to reach the market, because you have with you in co-innovation or in building your system, you have the end users which are already there. Just to mention also that on some of the project it is a requirement to have end users. So you cannot submit your proposal if you don't integrate end users in your project. So just to come back to the TRL, but you have understood. One thing I wanted to mention rapidly is how you have to answer this project. So we start from the bottom. You have a program, a work program which is accessible, and you select in this work program the topic that you want to answer to. This topic is part of what we call a destination, which is a general domain in which the topic apply. This destination is part of the cluster, which we have seen, which is a little bit a thematic by itself. And this work program was built for 2 years. So generally, there are also in the description of the program, there are links between the 2 years. You don't cover the same thing the next year, even if the topics are very similar. So there are some kind of constraints. So you have to know a little bit the program over these 2 years. This program was produced after what is called the Horizon Europe Strategic Planification or Strategic Plan, which is something that was built for 4 years. There will be a second strategic plan updated after 4 years for the last 3 years of the program. But many of the aspects, everything related to impacts, to the key strategic orientation, to all the main expectation of the program are written in the strategic plan. So it is very important to read it, because this will be something that we'll have to integrate in your answer. And basically, all this is under the umbrella of the legal framework set for 7 years by the Horizon Europe. So if you want to summarize rapidly, you have the large program framework, Horizon Europe, which is set, and you have to know the rules, but it's basically administrative rules and the main orientation of the program. Then you have a more specific strategic plan that you have to read. This is not a big document, and this is sometimes something, a few pages that are relevant to your topic, but you need to know them. And then you have a work program for 2 years, which is renewed every 2 years, and you answer different calls in this work program to build project. So about security, what is a strategic approach for security? I would say that before Horizon Europe, you had the program called Horizon 2020. Then you had the program called FP7. As I told you, it's a framework program number 9. the attitude, the approach towards security was very much reactive. So basically, there is a threat, there is something happening, and you react to it. So a lot of investment had been done in how to handle the crisis, how to recover, how to guarantee business continuity, all these kind of things. The approach, the general approach of the program for the next 7 years is more proactive. So there is a lot of focus on foresight, prevention, and anticipation. So any activities that improve the anticipation, the prevention, and eventually prepare yourself, there is a key word which is underlying all this, which is about resilience, but everybody is using it, is a welcome, and this is the strategic approach for the program. Of course, the program wants to answer the EU policy priorities. And one thing what is important to remember is that more and more, before we had the silos between what we call civil security or in the physical world and cyber security in the cyber world, it was also separated in terms of programs and so on. Now we have a specific destination about cyber, but all this is all together in the Civil Security for Society work program, which means that both are interlinked and you have to take it into account, and you may in your project take this two dimension in your proposal. The program is focused on capabilities and the fact that at the end you have something that enable you to secure the society. And as I said, ethical outcomes are very are expected, and not only expected, they are checked, and they are one of the criteria which is key. You can be rejected if what you are proposing is not ethical. Another point I want to stress here also is that you have to support, and it has to be supported by the society. So if you propose solutions that have very little chance to be accepted by the society, you lose points, and this is not what is expected from the Commission. And of course, you put on the table 100 billion euro at European level. It is also to get some competitivity at world level. So make sure that the European security industry get some market share, and then through this program get excellence and is competitive. So one last thing I wanted to mention in terms of generality is that the strategic orientation to remember and to put in your proposal are those two. You know that the European society wants to be more resilient, inclusive, and democratic. So these three words are very important to demonstrate in your proposal. And the last point, the strategic autonomy is something that is more and more relevant. We see it with what is going on at different level. We have a strange wording because it's called open strategic autonomy. So we have to play with that. But basically, this is something that is very key to the Commission to make sure that we develop the good key digital and emerging technology at European level. So the content of the security for security society is structured in, as I said, 6 intervention destinations. So you have one about fighting crime and terrorism. Another one about management of external border, EU external border, of course. One related to the infrastructure that we want to become resilient. So this is part of this business protection, but also business continuity and so on. Cyber security, of course, is at the heart, and you see that it represents 35% of the budget of this call. And last but not least, the Disaster Resilient Society for Europe. Everything related to disaster and how to handle it is also an important topic to follow. Even if this was part of all the previous program, it's still key, and it will probably be key in the future. A last destination that was not existing before is a little bit smaller, and it's just to improve, and that's why the impact is so important, to improve how research and innovation goes to the market. Because we don't, and especially on security. Market is very difficult, very tough, because it's, first of all, many little silos, and second, very little people want security but are not ready to pay for it. So how to get to the market uptake is a key, and there is specific proposal and topics on that. Just to mention, the call this year, the deadline of the call for this year is 16th or 23rd of November. So we come a little bit late to artificial intelligence, but what I wanted to stress is that the program is wide, is addressing a lot of different topics. You can find AI somehow everywhere. What I have tried to do here, very simply, is to identify and stress how it was explicitly mentioned in the program. So AI is mentioned for law enforcement. It is, of course, mentioned for handling and sharing of data, everything related to heavy data or just on time or real-time data analysis is a good candidate for AI proposal. To be honest, there are some of the topics that are mentioning explicitly AI, but many are identifying it as advanced or new technology to be used to innovate in the domain. So, of course, cybersecurity and secure online environment, there were last year a specific topic on AI for cybersecurity, but you will see that this year also there is some topic which are dealing with hoping to get AI solution for cybersecurity. The overall objective, which is shared by many of the thematic of the program, is to have a leading European AI based on trust. It applies to robotics, in this case about autonomous system, but generally speaking, trustable or trustworthy AI is the base of the approach for European Commission. And I encourage you, and this is mentioned in the program itself, to follow and to support the EU policy actions and guidelines relevant to AI. Especially, if you don't know it, it's worth reading, the ethics guideline for trustworthy AI, which was produced by the high-level expert group on artificial intelligence at European level. And they have identified and set up even a methodology or a kind of checklist called the Altai checklist, assessment list on trustworthy AI, which is at the heart of the way we consider AI. So everything that will be done, you have to demonstrate that you follow this guideline somehow, and you are not developing AI systems that are completely black box, cannot be transparent, no man in the loop or in control or whatever. So there is it's very interesting, and there is only 7 points to check, but I encourage you to read that, and I take this opportunity to mention that. So let's get into the topic. We have a few topics that are basically there are 5 topics this year for the call 2022, which are mentioning explicitly AI. So one about fighting crime and terrorism, which is okay, which is about inspection, gathering, and analyze of forensic, I would say, evidence needs and will benefit from AI technology to handle what is becoming more and more complex crime scenes. So this is something that for which there is an opportunity to push AI techniques. Another one which is about resilient infrastructure is about autonomous system used for infrastructure protection. And as we are mentioning autonomous system, It is, of course, necessary to integrate artificial intelligence, be it at the level of understanding what is going on, the perception level, or decision making, or machine learning, to make sure that the infrastructure has a certain autonomy in terms of protecting itself, especially when you are in degraded situation and when you are in an infrastructure which may not be accessible anymore. You have to have a capability and to give to the infrastructure a certain autonomy, so a certain intelligence. This is interesting to mention. Of course, we have two topics that are related to cybersecurity. So one is about improving and monitoring the threats and intrusion detection and response in complex and heterogeneous digital system and infrastructure. So here again, as the complexity of the system that are now interlinked, it's a network of infrastructure, it's very heterogeneous with a different generation of system and so on. It becomes more and more complex to guarantee and to monitor the threats and intrusion and to be able to detect them. So using advanced techniques like AI could benefit, be it only by analyzing the network traffic or by using machine learning to try to understand what is going on. Second topic about more about the process and the certification. So it is mentioned there is a specific topic on the certification of ICT product, ICT services, and ICT processes. But when here we are mentioning in terms of system and services or processes that has to be certified or taken into account in this process of certification, we have now to take into account AI system as well as high performance computing, which is more classical. But AI system has to be also. We have to go into certification to guarantee that you have a kind of security by design also of AI component of your system. And the last topic which mentioned explicitly artificial intelligence is about the disaster resilient society. And here it's an interesting one. It's about AI for finance. We are here more focusing on the insurance product and finance and insurance product to be able to handle the disaster properly. And it is welcome to use artificial intelligence to support this. So basically to gather all the important information and to use it for insurance and financing disaster. So this was rapid, but I finish with just reference and links to help you to get more details about all this. We at the ministry have done several presentations of the program, and we will do every year in advance a presentation of the program, which each topic identified and presented through, in this case it was through webinars, so you have an idea of 3 webinars we have done. It was not specifically on AI, but it was on each topic, so you will find elements if you are interested with it. And I want just to finish, I recommend that you look at the site of Horizon Europe, especially the French one. Of course, you have the European one, but the French one, we have gathered a lot of material, be it on the content of the program, but also on the way to answer, on the legal framework, we have a large FAQ to help you to propose, and don't hesitate to contact us. It is our job and our mission to support you and help you to build consortium, to build project, and to be successful in this very nice opportunity for research and innovation at the European level. Okay, thank you very much. If you have questions, sorry for being a little bit late. No question? So don't hesitate. The site is well done. I can confess. At least it's very comprehensive. You have a lot of material. It's evolving because we are trying to improve and to to set up toolbox guidelines to help people to answer the project. And don't hesitate also to contact us directly at PCN Security if you want to on a specific topic related to security. Thank you very much. Merci.